Good morning, my friends. It is September 12th, 2018, 7:01 a.m. We are still following Category 4 Hurricane Florence as it makes its way, looks to be North Carolina. The only change that we've had is there's been a little drop in wind speed overnight. But actually, believe it or not, it looks like it's going to pick up again. There was somewhat of an eye wall replacement cycle last night. You can kind of see how it kind of deteriorates a little bit, and then towards the end, as we get to current time, it begins to form and get its shape back to that nice donut, nice eye wall. Right there was when we dropped down to about 130. Right now we're at 132 sustained winds, that's miles per hour, 945 millibars as pressure, and gusts of up to 161. So we are still well within that Category 4 range. The gusts actually put it into a Category 5, but we don't measure hurricanes by gusts. We measure by sustained winds. That's about a minute long, and that is at 132 at the moment. Now, it is expected to strengthen back to that around 140, 145 mile per hour speed as it approaches pretty close to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And then what's pretty interesting is what happens after that. And we're going to take a look at that now. As I said, we are moving, oh boy, it's about 17 miles per hour west-northwest right now. So the storm is picking up speed as it's moving towards North Carolina, and you can kind of visualize this angle. Not much is really going to change as far as the angle it's taking right now. There's not any shear winds. There's no pressures. The pressure is going to come after it gets to North Carolina, which is where it's scheduled to make landfall early Friday morning now, around 2 a.m. possibly Friday morning. So we might be dealing with this storm in the dark is what I'm trying to say, which just adds to the unfortunate part of the fact that it's already Category 4 storm heading towards North Carolina. Once again, guys, if this thing hits as a Category 4, it will be the biggest storm to ever hit north of South Carolina on the East Coast. So this is nothing to mess with whatsoever. You can definitely see that eye wall replacing itself and gathering itself together towards the end of these frames here. I got some other things to show you really quick. You can see here they've extended the hurricane warning down into South Carolina as well, and there's a reason for this. They now believe that the storm is going to stay as a major hurricane all the way up to landfall, and then it's going to sit for about a day and a half, possibly a day, and then it wants to come south into South Carolina. That is why you are seeing hurricane warnings and watches now in South Carolina, way past Charleston now. I've actually pulled up Google Earth here, and I've kind of imposed this picture onto it. And if we kind of do the opacity here, you can see I kind of matched up as best I could just to give you a visual of what we're going to be dealing with. Now, they're saying that we're going to be looking for a landfall around between Hatteras and Wilmington. So this is going to be the area where the storm first wants to hit, and then it's going to sit here. It's almost going to be half on and half off land, which means it could be refueling itself, and then it begins to dip south. And you could see how Myrtle Beach, all the way down to Charleston, is now under hurricane watch. The purple is hurricane warning, so it's expected to actually hit and then go south, and that is verified by the CMC models, the GFS, and the European, believe it or not. So we're going to look at that as well. But I wanted to pull this chart up. We have tropical storm warnings up into the northern parts, the northeast parts of North Carolina, and then we have tropical storm watches up into the coast of Virginia. So it's looking more and more like it's going to be a hit and then a south dip, and then it might get caught up in our jet stream and stuff like that and then brought up to the northeast, but not as a hurricane. Most of the damage and the rain and the wind will be done right in these areas here in the Outer Banks, guys. In North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, it looks like you might be out of this one, possibly, although we still do have 2 days before this thing hits. We need to understand that changes are made all the time, every couple hours. Just like I said last night, the eye wall began to fail and collapse on itself, and we were down to 130 miles an hour, but now it's recollecting itself, and we are back rising up. The pressure went up or went down rather to 945 from 950, and we're back at 132 rather than 130. So it's slowly rising. Again, it's expected to hit that 140 mile an hour level right before landfall, and then just as it hits, we might be dying down to about a category 2, but then it shows it popping back out of the water and then possibly re-strengthening. Now we're going to try to look at this on the tropical tidbits charts real quick. We'll check out the Canadian model first, and I'll back us up to current time, which is the 12th right now. And you could see on its approach, it really wants to go right to that North Carolina area. It sits there through Friday, and then check this out. It wants to go south. That's what they're showing with the CMC. Now, the CMC is the least dramatic so far out of what this thing does after it already hits North Carolina. Now, I'm going to show you the GFS. We'll back it up so we can get to current time once again, if it'll work, which is currently not. There we go. All right. So once we get to the 12th, which is right now, we'll move this forward. You can see it basically wants to hit the same exact spot. We got to keep an eye on this spot right here. It's going to be right around this area between Hatteras and Wilmington, where all these strip islands are. Guys, we're talking an easy, it could be 35 inches of rain on top of a 9 to 13 foot storm surge. That is what they're stressing right now. It's going to be the wind, the storm surge, and the rain and the flooding. That is going to be the biggest part, especially for these areas that are already being evacuated. We talked about this yesterday, and now they're going to begin a couple more evacuations. They might have to start evacuating down by Charleston. I know the school has been closed, but if this storm does stay in the water, half in, half out, and move south, we're going to be dealing with a situation where it's a multiple state hit, almost like Harvey did, but Harvey hit Texas twice rather than 2 separate states. So again, this is the GFS. The GFS has it hitting early Friday morning, like in the nighttime hours, early morning, 1, 2 a.m. And then check this out. It wants to go south right into the border of South Carolina right there. And you could see that it almost exits that cove and then back out into the ocean. It looks, I'm trying to look at the same time you guys are. It looks like it wants to come back out. If that eye wall gets back over water, we have a chance for re-strengthening and then another hit on South Carolina. And we can verify this with the European model because they believe the same thing is going to happen. We are going to see this storm come up to North Carolina. Like I said, maybe a little south of Hatteras. Actually, it's like we said, it's in between Hatteras and Wilmington is that zone right now where they're showing most likely landfall 2 days out, and then we have hurricane warnings because of the fact that it wants to move south. So here we go. Here's the European version. What is that, 9:56? Okay, so we're at 9:56 on Friday, September 14th. It's going to linger, and then on Saturday, it's going to make a dip south, and it clearly, the eye wall comes off land, back into water, and then it turns into South Carolina, or it could even dip into Georgia, it looks like. Wow, that changed just in the time I'm making this video, so that just goes to show how many different types of changes we're dealing with here just with 2 days remaining before landfall. And once again, I just want to show you guys the time frame we have as of right now before I let you go. I have to get back into work once again, but I will actually have a video later on this evening / afternoon. Not like I said yesterday. I just ran into some things I had to get done. But you can see here the new target time is Friday, 2 a.m. This will be in the middle of the night that this storm is really starting to cause its hard effects on North Carolina. And then we are going to see if it does that southern dip and actually make a second hit on South Carolina, or if it's going to just kind of ride the coast all the way down to South Carolina, maybe making 2 or 3 hits. We don't know. But the longer, if we have the eye wall, any part of the eye wall over ocean water, basically it's going to continue to stay strong. So if anything, if this thing's going to hit land, we want it to go inland and begin to break apart. So, all right, guys, I really got to get going. I hate doing this. I hate cutting short, but that is the latest for Hurricane Florence right now. We are 2 days away, a little less than 2 days, 2 days away. And like I said, 132 miles an hour sustained winds, Category 4 as of right now, with gusts of 161, 945 millibars in the pressure, and we are moving west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. It's a little faster than yesterday. So, all right, guys, with that said, have a great morning. Hopefully, I didn't say California too much. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Have a great day. Bye bye.